2 weeks ago, my family announced a massive reunion party. My grandparents were celebrating their 50th wedding anniversary. Relatives from all over the country were flying in for the special weekend. There would be a huge dinner party, formal speeches, and a professional photographer. Naturally, I want to look my absolute best. For the family album, my usual hairstylist was fully booked. For the entire month, I started searching online for a reputable nearby salon. I found a trendy place downtown with bright photos and great reviews. They had an open appointment just 24 hours before the event. Without hesitating, I booked the slot and felt extremely relieved. I imagined looking stylish and sharp in all the family photos. Looking back now, that relief was completely premature. On Friday morning, I walked in a modern salon. The place looked very sophisticated, with soft music playing in the background. A young stylist greeted me warmly and showed me to a leather chair. I opened my phone and showed him a simple photo. It was a classic, neat haircut that was short on the sides and slightly longer on top. The stylist looked at the picture for barely 2 seconds. He smiled confidently and said, "No problem at all. I can do this easily." He wrapped a black cape around my shoulders and washed my hair at the sink. When I sat back in the chair, he put on his headphones and picked up his electrical clippers. Before I could say anything, he made a sudden, aggressive move across the side of my head. I heard the loud hum of the clippers and watched a huge clump of hair fall onto my lap. A sudden wave of panic swept right through my body. I stared at the large mirror in complete and utter shock. The stylist had accidentally used the shortest blade attachment possible. There was a completely bald patch right above my right ear. I gasped out loud, but the stylist did not notice because of his loud music. When he finally looked at my expression, his eyes widened in pure terror. He took off his headphones and tried to calm me down. "Don't worry," he said nervously. "I can balance it out on the other side." Instead of fixing the problem, he made everything 10 times worse. He kept cutting and trimming to make both sides match. With every single snip of his scissors, my hair was disappearing faster and faster. By the time he turned off the clippers, my carefully planned hairstyle was entirely gone. I looked like a half-shaved hedgehog that had gotten caught in a lawnmower. I paid for the haircut quickly, just so I could leave the salon. I walked back to my car, holding a jacket over my head, so no one on the street could see me. When I looked in the rear-view mirror, tears of frustration filled my eyes. The anniversary party was tomorrow afternoon, and I looked absolutely ridiculous. I immediately called my best friend and explained the entire nightmare. She told me to stop panicking and drive straight over to her house. When I arrived at her front door, she tried very hard not to laugh. "Okay, it is pretty bad," she admitted, "but we can still save this situation." She pulled out her own electrical clippers and suggested a radical idea. The only way to make my head look decent was to shave all of my hair off completely. I had never had a buzz cut in my whole life. However, a uniform short buzz cut was much better than an uneven disaster. I took a deep breath and gave her permission to proceed. 10 minutes later, all of my hair was sitting on the floor. My head felt strangely cold and light. When I looked in the bathroom mirror, I barely recognized the person staring back. It was a dramatic change, but at least it looked intentional and neat. The next day, I arrived at the anniversary venue, wearing a sharp suit and a wide smile. As soon as my relatives saw me, their eyes went wide with surprise. My uncle laughed loudly and asked if I had joined the military. Instead of feeling embarrassed or angry, I decided to own the story. I told everyone the hilarious details of my salon disaster. Within minutes, the entire room was roaring with uncontrollable laughter. Even my grandmother smiled warmly and rubbed my short, buzzed head for good luck. When the professional photographer gathered everyone for the group picture, I stood right in the center. I realized that worrying about minor details is a complete waste of energy. In 10 years, nobody will remember how perfect my hair looked. They will only remember the laughter and the wonderful time we shared together. This stressful experience taught me to handle unexpected problems with humor. When things go wrong, and they often will, you can choose to cry, or you can choose to laugh. Now, every time I look at that family photo hanging on my living room wall, I smile on my bald head and remember a truly unforgettable day.